This is a video of a presentation I gave to the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons on how to host a podcast. I'd like to commence by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which this podcast and presentation was given, the Kaurna people, and pay my respect to the elders both past, present and emerging.
I run a podcast series, and declaration of interest, if it comes up, is that I do get a bit of sponsorship from some medical defence company and also a health share company, a digital company. The interesting thing about that, and the reason that's important, is that being a doctor and running a podcast, I have to answer APRA rules. This is my podcast series. We've got 38 episodes now. I've been running it for 3 years. What made me do it? What was impetus? Well, basically, COVID hit. Everyone down their tools. I thought we were going to be pretty quiet. I was finishing off my medical reports. I was typing out my paper notes, and I thought we'd be fine. Why not just have a bit of time and do a bit of stuff? A lot of people, a lot of my colleagues who just did pure private, had to stop doing everything. Well, in that time, they all grew long beards. I didn't understand why they grew beards because, normally when we're rushing around, I can understand if you've got time to shave when you're rushing around in normal day-to-day life, but when you're sitting at home doing absolutely nothing, surely you've got all the time in the world to shave, but they all grew beards. And they sat around doing nothing. We decided that I was going to do a podcast. I thought, as soon as I got things tidied up, of course, Peter Smitham and myself had to actually get the university MSK program online for the university, and that took forever. And by the time we got through my medical reports and other things were picking up again. But I'd already started this podcast, and I thought, well, let's get it going. Why would I do it? Well, we had our MSK program. We had our videos, our YouTube videos. We have a very good Canvas site to teach the students, but our missing link was a sort of podcast area. So how do you do a podcast? Well, you got to sit down and work out. And now, 3 years ago, it was a lot harder than it is now. There's a lot more things to help you along the way. You have to work out an artwork for it. Now, I'm not an artist, so I had to put that out to tender. I use this program called 99 Designs. I think that was the most expensive thing I had to pay for online. I got that artwork, which probably is not that hard in the end, but I liked it, and it's cost me about $500 to get that done. So we also had to work out some music for it. Now, I could have got Angus Young or Ed Sheeran, obviously my hero, to do a song for me. I could have copied one of his, but I didn't think that was the right thing to do. So I had to, given that the reason I wanted to do a podcast in the first place related to the fact that I actually played the guitar and I didn't quite understand how EQ worked, and I wanted to work out how a digital audio workstation worked, it sort of snowballed from there. I thought, why don't I do my own music backdrop for it? So I played the music for it. It was quite good fun. And that's actually, if I ask anyone really why I wanted to do it, it's so I could play guitar on Spotify. But and how to do the intros and outros. The gear. Well, that's also you like buying some gear. So in fact, I've got most of it all here. At the time, Rode which is an Australian company, a fantastic company actually. They had released a podcaster set, which is the one on, well, actually it's the new versions on the right there. We had the old original design. And they actually allow you to put all the signals into it, but also importantly, it allows you to capture audio from a telephone. So I could do the podcast whilst in the COVID lockdowns on telephone discussions. So I'd dial someone, we'd capture their voice. It'd be mixed minus, so they wouldn't get the feedback. They wouldn't hear their echo, and we could record them quite well. In time, Tascam, the one on the most right here, the little thing, brought out a little porta capture system, which I've also used. And that's really good. In fact, I'm capturing the audio for this part of it on that at the moment. So there's a lot of gear that you can use. It's relatively cheap. I think about $1,000 for each of them. And obviously you need a microphone and a headset. The microphones are all Rode as well. The Australian company, I actually had a bit of an issue earlier on this week. I just rang them and asked for support, and they gave me advice. But then you want to capture it on a digital audio workstation. Well, all the audio can be captured to those devices and be saved on an SD card. Eventually, you might want to edit it. Now, you can edit it online programs, or you can edit it on a digital audio workstation, which is where all the individual stems of voice go into it, and you can actually cut out the sections you don't like. It's actually, there's lots of many different ones. You might have if you've got Mac computers, know GarageBand, which is a very nice basic one. And actually could do that. They could do this quite well, actually. The better version of that is Logic Pro on the Mac. And there's also other ones on provided by Adobe, like Acrobat, I think, and not Acrobat, it's Audition, which are very good as well. I chose this one called Reaper because it's very intuitive, it's very basic, and it's actually quite cheap. It's about $60. And it actually works on Mac and Windows systems. And that's one I like. And it's actually a very good system. but you could use any of them. You don't have to use a digital audio workstation. The advantage is you can see the audio signals and you can actually cut out the sections you don't like with it. There are programs that do it for you. Like, and so there it is. That's the, when I started, that's the sort of setup I had. Got the guitar there, had the powered amp, had a slightly bigger one, which was a bit overpowered. It could power the whole street, which is on the left. We've got the microphone above the top there, a couple of screens. I thought I was actually doing an air traffic controller set up in the upstairs study. So, and down the bottom is my guitar pedal. I had to chuck that in the photo as well. But nowadays, in 2023, there's a lot of new different systems you can use. Rode have got an online system, and with the USB microphone, that's all you probably need. And they've also brought out smaller versions of their systems just recently. And a lot of other companies too, Zoom and all these other people have all these audio things. In reality, all you need is a microphone to capture the audio, something to process the audio, and if it's a USB microphone, it can go straight into the computer. If it's a standard XLR type microphone, it's got to go through an audio interface, which modifies the signal and puts it into the computer. Then something to record it, and then something to actually edit it with. And these online versions can do all of that, and there's also programs online that will do all the editing for you. But in the end, you can make it as hard or as easy as you want to nowadays. Well, when I first started, it was a little bit trickier. But there are some tips I picked up along the way. And as you can tell, I'm not a natural speaker, and I use a lot of ers and ums in my text, in my speaking. But I get the opportunity, and one of the advantages of actually hosting a podcast is you can go back and reword the questions again. So I might stumble out a question, and all my guests are usually pretty good because it's their special interest. They can just speak off the top and keep going. And myself, I'm trying to ask questions on topics I don't really understand as much as I think I do. And so I often stumble through the questions, but I can go back and reword the questions, and it sounds so much better. Also, you can record the introductions before you start, and I find that actually helps. If you get in the mode of actually getting the bio and actually recording introductions, it actually gets you in the mode of thinking about what they're doing. Not all guests have to be on at the same time. One of my favourite episodes I've done was we had a medical student do an episode. She recorded one on how to interpret an X-ray, very basic interpreting of X-rays for the medical students in fourth year. And we had guests commentary from Sean Fowler from Fowler Simmons Radiology. Now, you'd swear that Sean, he heard the audio and then commented on it and answered back. But in the end, I don't think he's ever heard the audio. We just gave him the transcript about 2 weeks later, and he actually made some comments on it and then passed it back to us. And we just cut it and pasted it in. And you actually get to, and that's part of the fun of it. When you watch a movie from now on, I actually get to realise how each part of it's made. So, but I think being prepared is really important. And as people testify, I've been like a bit on edge the last couple of days trying to get everything perfect, which is always hard when it's like playing with pets or having babies in a presentation. With technology, something's always going to play up. And it also gives you an idea of audio mastering. You can always stop the audio. In fact, I've had that plenty of times where people said, oh, look, I really don't like what I said there. Can I reword that? And you say, no worries. We just cut that segment out. And something I thought of in the last 24 hours, in preparation and being prepared, I thought is, if I can reword the questions after it, why don't I word the questions beforehand? Because I know what questions I'm going to ask. Now, it won't be quite as natural, and certainly for a live podcast, it might be a bit weird. But on an audio one, where actually someone's online and you actually can't see the person speaking, it's actually, they probably wouldn't even know. And so I've actually worded 12 questions for us today in preparation. I might even put one or two of those in there. So you got your podcaster, you got your guest, as Seb was actually involved in one on pharmacology. You got your editing. It captures on the audio device, but goes in the editing device. You can send it out to an external company to edit it, and this company here, I put up their logo. They've been really nice and easy, and they're actually relatively cheap. Actually, I think it's about $70 a session to edit most of it for us. And then it has to be actually hosted somewhere. And I'm using Buzzsprout, and Buzzsprout is the company I went to, but they've been really good. They've actually put all these improvements on their actual platform to allow you to set up the audio, and they charge me, I think it's $12 a month to run it, and that then sends it out to other feeds such as Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple. And these are the sort of data you get from Buzzsprout. I did a talk like this back in October last year for the College of Surgeons, and at that stage I had 30,000 downloads. Now it's actually, I thought it was 55, but it's actually 54,218 as of 2 days ago. They have a very nice platform to run it on and give it data, and they also produce a website for you too, and that's the one on the top left. Now that was quite nice. I used that for the first few years, But then I realised there's a new program come out called Podpage, which is designed for podcasters, which actually has all the information that you need on it, and actually does all the data, the SEOs, manages the guest intake so they can put in their bios, and they're really good. So one summer I decided to, it was actually 3 months ago, I thought I need a backdrop for it. So it was a beautiful day, and I thought I was just going to work, and I stopped for 2 minutes, took that photo, and you can see I rushed it. You see the microphone, the road sign's upside down on it, and look, that was fine. So then I had to edit it, so I used my phone to get rid of the road out of it, because not because didn't want to advertise road, it's just that it was upside down, it looked silly, and made that as my backdrop for my podcast page. And that took 2 minutes, and it's got all the information there for you as well, and then you click on those and you get guest information as well. Of course, you've got to promote the thing, and as such, in fact, this week actually I decided to produce a little business card with it on it, with the Spotify and the Apple QR codes on the back, which takes you directly to the podcast. It's only something I just thought of at the last minute on Monday last week, and I rang my local printer who does my business cards, and he printed it within a day. So I've been handing those out left, right and centre. I've been handing those out more than my business cards. So it hasn't even got my name on it, it's just got the podcast. I probably should have put my name on it as well, but it's actually a way of promoting the podcast series. It's become a bit of a hobby, but it's actually quite addictive for me anyway. Promotions also is word of all my podcasts really has been word of mouth. I have put up a few things on Instagram and Facebook, but I'm not very good at that, and I've had hardly any posts I've posted for it. I should be doing more of that if I really get myself organised, and obviously LinkedIn as well. So these are sort of numbers you're getting from the plays. And the different podcasts that's taken the other day. And it's not just in Adelaide, so in fact Adelaide's not the biggest market, so I think you've got New South Wales, and this is only Australia too. There's actually probably about 10 or 15% go overseas. So it's a form of education. There's a lot of information that you can get from a podcast, and one of my most, and I don't watch TV very much apart from Ted Lasso. My favourite pastime is going for a walk, and I'll put on a YouTube video, but I won't actually watch the video, I'll just put the audio on, or I'll listen to a podcast as part of it. So I'll put on a podcast and listen to an audio podcast. So my main education is from podcasts outside of obviously reading and speaking to colleagues and coming to meetings. You can turn it into other aspects, so it can be incorporated into learning tasks. That one in the middle was the one we talked about where I got the 6-year medical student to produce discuss how to interpret x-rays. We worked out how we're going to get them to look at x-rays when it's an audio podcast, and so we had a web page. We chucked it on the x-rays on a web page, and we referred to that on the links. And on the right-hand side, we also asked one of the other 6-year medical students to review what they wanted from the podcast and tried to take on some of their suggestions. So really, that's what involves doing a podcast. It's nice and straightforward. I thought it's easy enough to talk about it, but the best thing to do is actually to do one. So today, we're going to try and record a live podcast and see how we get on. And this is going to be a new one because I've never done a live podcast before, and the major issue I was going to worry about was feedback from the microphone. So we'll see how we get on and see how it produces. So I've got a roaming microphone. Actually, Rode also have a little wireless, which is here, but it attaches to a little pole and becomes a roaming microphone. We've got to be careful we don't point it at that speaker over there, though, that's all. So thank you. Any questions first before we start the podcast series?